Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this video, we're going to be discussing another national selection, and that's going to be Estonia's, well, already traditional Eesti Laul. And this year, it's been rebranded a little bit. It doesn't have any semifinals. It's just going to have one grand final with a total of 16 songs. What did you guys think of this selection overall? Like, how is the quality of the songs, and how was your impression based on the songs and comparing to the last years?
I think this is a bog standard Estonian selection. There's very professional, very sleek, lots of great songs and a little sprinkling of madness. I mean, yeah, it's everything you could want. I love Eesti Laul, and I think this is another strong year for sure.
Eesti Laul wouldn't be Eesti Laul without that sprinkle of madness. I
It's
just hope it
true.
had a little bit more of it, but
Yeah, what's nice to see is that there was a couple of years right where Estonia kind of went down quite vanilla pop. A lot of the songs were all that kind of pop sound, a little bit similar. And this year it's kind of there's a lot of variety. It's nice. It's good. It's good to see diversity.
Yeah, you can always rely on Estonia to bring a diverse selection of songs and really good quality again, I think, this year. So I'm really looking forward to the show.
well, let's start on the songs then. And first off, we're gonna have An-Marlen with Külm. Joe, what did you think about this one?
So we're starting off with one of my favorites, really.
Oh wow.
An-Marlen always delivers, and I think this is a great song. It's that kind of sort of trance type kind of sort of vibe to it, with a gorgeous vocal that she always brings to all of her songs. Really pleased to see her back in the selection. Really interested to see how they stage this song though. So there's a number of things that they could do with this because of the tempo and the flow. So yeah, I really want to see how this one works out live.
I wasn't actually aware that she was already in Eesti Laul before, so I don't know. Wasn't memorable enough for me, or I didn't watch that year. Apparently something, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not really the biggest fan of this type of music, and I just feel that like the music and the singing just don't really perfectly match. Because to me, often it sounds like she's singing to a completely different song. And whilst I was listening to it the first time, Euphoria came to my mind, but not the song, but the TV series. I don't know if you watch it or not. And I think that this song would have fit perfectly some of the scenes in this TV show. I don't really see it as like a competition sort of song, and I don't really see that much in a competition environment. And I personally wouldn't be listening to this. Joe, it's one of your favorites, but I respect that, but this is just not for me. And I'm sure that like after Eesti Laul, I'll just forget about this song completely as well. But I'll try and remember this time that An-Marlen was in it. Out of 10, Joe.
For me, it's a 9.
Sophie?
7.
For me, it's a 4. David?
Give it a 7 as well.
That is 27. All right, let's go to the second one. That's going to be Sahlene with Love Me Low. David?
I always feel like it gets set up talking about some of these entries. I'm sure this is going to be controversial to some. I really like An-Marlen's Eurovision entry, right? So many moons ago, as a little boy at the time. But yeah, it's a good song, and this one sounds like it could have been released the following month. To be honest, she just stylistically hasn't changed, which is great in one way. But the song for me is just very dated. It's got a market. I'm not a huge kind of Schlager fan. I know a lot of Eurovision fans are. So it's kind of lost on me a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's a run-of-the-mill pop song. It's not bad. It's listenable, but it's just not very modern or edgy for me, I'm afraid. So thumbs down. Sorry, Anna.
Well, here comes the controversy. Yeah, this is one of my top songs of the year so far.
Wow.
I love An-Marlen. I think she's iconic. Her vocals are amazing, and she's got such strong stage presence. And Champion for me was a standout entry. I think was that 2022. So when I saw she was in the lineup, I was already excited. But listening to the song for the first time, it was like a real moment for me. I love it. You know, I've seen what people are saying. It is dated. it does sort of use every Eurovision cliche in the book. It sounds like 10 million other songs that have done the same thing. But for me, it just works. And I kind of like what David was saying. He isn't really a fan of that. It sounds kind of like a classic Eurovision entry. It has that sort of maybe noughties feel to it. And I just think it builds so well, such like interesting instrumentation. I mean, in the bridge you've got like the from like Tattoo, and you can pick out all of these little elements that are in other songs. But I can't think of anything that has done all of these elements as well. So, and I just I always look forward to listening to it. So I'm looking forward to see how it comes together on the stage. And we know that Anna-Celine's a killer performer as well. So this is one of the ones that I'm most looking forward to.
I can already see the wind machines and her hair.
Yeah. And I'm just gutted
blowing in the
that
wind.
they played it at Eurofest before we arrived. I was like,
Oh
oh,
no! Thank
fuming.
God for that.
I'm also sure that if there's going to be a catwalk on stage, there's going to be a great big usage of the catwalk as well.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna have those two Estonian ladies who are always the backup singers that are always
So
there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will be there.
I'll be there for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Out of 10, David.
Sorry, it's a 3. Don't hate me.
Sophie will surely make up for it. Joe?
For me, it's a strong 6.
Sophie?
9.
She did, yeah. For me, this is going to be a 5. All right. Next up, we have Gem 98 with Psycho. Sophie.
Yeah, so remember we were talking about that sprinkle of madness at the beginning. This is it. I feel like there's always an entry in Estonia that's a little bit like this, that's kind of like an eccentric man with really bizarre instrumentation. And I think we sort of got the vibe that this was what this was going to be when he was announced as one of the artists on the artist reveal program, and we had the image of him, and it was kind of very spooky and dark. So in a way, it was kind of exactly what I was expecting, but also slightly different and a bit weirder. I don't know. And I'm still sort of on the fence with this song, whether I like it or not. I think I guess like the chorus especially, which is kind of the repetition of the da, 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 da. I can't decide if I find that really, really catchy or just like straight up irritating. Every time I listen to it, I feel differently. So yeah, it's quite a bizarre one, but I really like that Estonia includes stuff like this just for variety. So I'm glad it's part of the lineup, but it's probably not one of my favorites. But yeah, as I said, I respect it for being a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree, Sophie. This is one of those songs that it's just Eesti Laul, and you just know that this is a song that's competing in Eesti Laul. And there is always one or possibly two within the broader selection that we have for Estonia that's a bit like this. So it kind of sort of puts me back in mind of a few years ago when you had Evestus setting fire to the stage and all sorts of things. So I'm expecting with the live performance there'll be all sorts of kind of sort of craziness. But I do think that all of that, the kind of sort of the bizarre kind of sort of instrumentation, the super melodic chorus, and kind of like everything else, I think all distracts from the fact that there's just no song ultimately in this. I think it's it's fine as a piece of art, and they're putting out kind of sort of what they want. But for me, this is not a friend to my ears, unfortunately. Kind of glad it's there. It will have its fans, but I won't be counted amongst them, I don't think.
Sophie, out of 10.
6.
I'll give it a 3. David?
Yeah, absolutely not my cup of tea whatsoever. 1 out of 10.
Joe?
And for once, I agree with David. This is a 1 out of 10.
Oh wow. Well,
The only time
11
we've
points.
ever agreed.
Yep.
Ooh,
Wow.
harsh.
11 points for Gem 98. Currently in the top 3. Let's go over to the fourth song, which is going to be Party Till the End of the World by Stereo Terror. As this is really my kind of music, I'm going to start this one.
I knew it.
From the very first time that I listened to it, like it started very powerful and it kept me interested throughout the entire song. The chorus really stood out, and the song is just catchy as hell. Already in the second listening, I felt it like I can sing along to it. And this is why I'm even more excited to see like what they're going to be doing on that stage, because I hope that they're just going to bring like an explosion of energy to Eesti Laul, because that's going to make them stand out even more. Would this song be the right choice for Estonia? I'm not entirely sure. I have no idea, but I would be personally very, very happy if this actually ended up being Estonia's song for Switzerland.
Yeah, I actually quite like it, which is a surprise. It's a little bit out there, and I don't usually like my out there songs, but it is catchy. I think the chorus is super, super catchy. I think it's going to be fun on stage, and had this been in Finland's competition, I would 100% imagine this would win, hands down, because you know what Finland are like. Um, I don't think it will win in Estonia, but I do think it's been slept on a little bit. I well, there's the Tommy Cash situation that is he just going to run away with it or not? I don't think anyone knows the answer to that just yet. But if he wasn't there, I could probably see this actually sneaking a win, um, just kind of out of nowhere. The one thing that does annoy me though is the spelling of the word party. Why they've just randomly removed the A from it. That annoys me unfounded amounts. So that I had to knock a point off for that. But yeah, it's good song, good entry. I'm looking forward to the stage for sure. It'll be fun.
I'll kick this off with a 10 then. I don't normally give 10s in Eesti Laul. I think the last one was for Venom, but yeah, I think this one deserves a 10. David?
Yeah, you giving it a 10 makes me want to give it a 0, but I gave it a 6.
Joe?
It's a 6 for me as well.
Sophie?
8.
And if I'm not wrong, that brings it to 30. And Stereoter are our leaders right now. An-Marlen is in second and Anna-Selin in third. Gem 98 in fourth. Minimal Wind is next with Armageddon. Sophie, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, this one's been a bit of a sleeper hit for me. I think the first time I listened to it, it didn't have much of an impact, but the more I listen to it, I'm finding new layers and new bits of instrumentation, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think the hook is the melody just before, well, in the pre-chorus and in the chorus. It's a bit of an earworm, and it sort of keeps getting stuck in my head. Um, and I've interviewed one of the guys from Minimal Wind, which I guess is coming soon. Keep an eye out. And he said that the song was sort of written with visuals in mind. So my imagination is running wild with what they're sort of going to create on stage, especially with a song name like Armageddon. Armageddon? Armageddon. I feel like that could be quite impactful. Um, I think it is a little bit of a downgrade from What to Make of This, which was 2022 as well, I believe, wasn't it? But I'm really glad that they've incorporated Elizabeth Tiffany permanently into the band, because I think she's got a really nice vocal. And we know she can perform live as well, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I like this. It's good.
Out of 10, Sophie?
7.
For me, this is going to be a 4. David?
Yeah, big fan of their 2022 song, but this one doesn't hit the spot for me. I'll give it a 3.
Joe?
Yeah, very glad to see them back, and very much a grower, I think. So for me, this is an 8.
Nice. I was sure that Joe was going to love this one. All right, next up we have Räpina Jack featuring Kaisa Ling with Tule. Joe?
Yeah, so again with Eesti Laul, we have this mix of genres. So this is the one that's in the list that is a bit more kind of sort of folky in its kind of sort of in nature, and I actually really like it. It's got that kind of sort of toe tapping kind of sort of beat that I quite often find this coming in the playlist, and just the 3 minutes just kind of sort of just drifts by just so lovelyly, just kind of sort of tapping my foot away. I struggle to kind of recall it too much, perhaps. But when I am listening to it, actually, it makes me smile. Yeah, it's just nice, I think, this one.
Yeah, this is why I love Eurovision, right? I don't like the scary out there entries normally, but I do like the kind of crazy, folky, just a genre of music and a style that you would never, ever, ever in a million years listen to if it wasn't for Eurovision. And that's, I think, the amazing thing about national final season is hearing gems like this. Is it going to end up on my playlist after the Eesti Laul? No. Do I think it's going to do particularly well? Probably not. But it's, as Joe said, a toe tapper. You can't listen to it without wanting to kind of do a little bit of a jig along with it. And the music video is great as well. She is a hoot. Kaisa, I think it might be, or I don't know which one's which, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And again, why I love national final season. So I'm glad it's there.
Joe.
So yeah, super nice. This is an 8.
Sophie?
Not for me, I'm afraid. Who?
I'm with Sophie on this one. It's not for me either, but for me it's a 3. David?
Down the middle, 5.
Well, they still managed to beat Gem 98. Let's continue with Frants Tikerpuu with Trouble. Once again, I'll start this one as I love this type of slightly mysterious music. However, this song reminded me a little bit too much of Pray For Me from the Norwegian national selection a few years ago by Kristin Husøy. And that song almost beat Ulrike, which I thought she should have beaten Ulrike, but that's fine. I really like the way that this song was put together, and also the color of his voice complements the music and the melody like perfectly. I just wish it went like slightly bigger, and especially in the final chorus. It's if it didn't resemble Kristin Husøy's song so much, I would have loved it a little bit more too. But overall, like not bad at all, and it's still one of my favorites in Eesti Laul this year.
Yeah, I agree about his voice really complementing the style of music, and it all sort of it wraps up together very nicely. But unfortunately, this style of music is just not something I would listen to, and not really for me. I don't think that's a reflection on the quality of the song necessarily, but these sorts of like jazzy chords, and it's just not really my thing. But I also sort of agree with what you said about it not really going anywhere. It does feel a little bit stagnant. It doesn't really build. And yeah, it's sort of middling for me. Yeah, kind of nothingy, but happy it's here, I suppose.
I'm very happy that it's here, and I'm gonna give it a 7. David?
I'll give it a 6.
Joe?
This one really isn't for me at all, I'm afraid. So it's a 1 from me, sorry.
Oh, wow. Sophie?
5.
That's, if I'm not wrong, 19, which is 1 point ahead of Räpina Jack featuring Kaisa Ling. Stereo Terror still in the lead with 30 points right now. Marta Lotta is next with Tantsin, veel. Joe, what did you think about the wildcard entry?
Yeah, so this kind of sort of sprung from nowhere as the wildcard entry. I didn't have too much time to listen to all of the wildcard options, but it was very mixed. There were a lot of them. Some of them were pretty good. Some of them perhaps a little bit less so. But I think this is a really good choice from the pool of wildcards. It's just a really fresh sounding pop song. It's just a really nice song. That is the sort of thing that maybe I would have expected from someone like Tuuli Rand, actually, who we'll talk about later with her song. But I don't think there's another song quite kind of sort of like it in terms of it. It just feels so kind of sort of light and poppy, and it just makes me smile when I listen to it. I just think it's a great song. It's a grower as well. So every time I've listened to it, it's kind of, you know, how we rank our things in our apps, and it's just creeping up there for me. But yeah, it's just a really nice, pleasant pop song.
Out of 10?
I think this one for me is another 8.
Sophie?
5.
This is a 4 for me. And David?
5 for me.
Let's continue with Johanna, Elise and Eyes Don't Lie. David?
Yeah, I adore this, honestly. This is for me the biggest grower, and I'm dreading what Sophie's going to say about it from that smirk. No, so I listened to all the songs, didn't really stand out for me at all. I thought, oh, that's well sung. She has a great voice. I like the build on it, and kind of by the end, the belting. Um, Literally was in my head for about 2 weeks every single day after I first heard it. And now it's probably my most listened to national final song of the season so far. I think it's fantastic. I love a song that builds. I think it's got real kind of powerhouse drama to it. And if I think about ballads, a lot of the time ballads feel quite dated, right? And they don't sound necessarily modern. But this for me sounds like the type of song that you would hear on a advert, right? A commercial for like a clothes store or like a Christmas type thing. Maybe I imagine like Marks and Spencer's bringing out people people of all different ages wearing different things with that in the background. Um, I love it, and I have to one more comment. The music video is probably again the highlight of anything I've seen at Eurovision this so far this year. Is just before the like last 30 seconds, she stands up, grabs a full glass of red wine, and starts belting with the glass in her hand. And I admire that. I love it. It represents me very well. So no, I love the song.
Makes you want to have a glass of red, David, eh?
Exactly. And sing loudly, annoy the neighbours. Go
Yeah,
on, Sophie.
it's a nice music video. Yeah, I feel like this song sort of falls into a similar camp as France for me, kind of jazzy. That sort of genre of music is just unfortunately it's just not really my thing. It's sung well. It builds nicely. I don't really have anything bad to say about it, but I also don't really have anything that I loved about it either. So yeah, it's just sort of another one that's a bit forgettable for me, unfortunately. But it's just my personal taste. It's not necessarily a bad song or anything like that.
Eyes don't lie. Out of 10, David.
I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Love it.
Joe.
This is one that's really kind of sort of passed me by. It just hasn't grabbed me at all, so it's a 2 from me, I'm afraid.
Sophie.
Sorry.
4.
It's a 4 for me as well. Sorry, David.
Sorry.
All right, let's continue with Felin and Solo Anthem, which is our 10th song now. Like if someone told me that this song was written for Avril Lavigne or if it was sung by Avril Lavigne, I'd probably believe them because it's that kind of girl rock that has its own audience and that it had its period when it was like really, really popular. I can also see like a lot of things that they can do with this song on stage, and I expect nothing but an amazing performance. I don't think that I ever heard Felin sing live though, so I hope that she has the vocal power to bring this song and perform it with so much energy on stage like it should be performed with. It's not entirely, let's say, my kind of music and my top pick, but it's pretty decent for what it is. And the song itself has a lot of energy, and it kept my attention the whole 3 minutes, which is something that not all of the songs actually managed to do. So I take that as a positive. And I'll give it a 6 for that. David?
Down the middle again, at 5.
Joe?
Yeah, again, fairly middling, but for me, it's a 4.
Sophie?
I am the audience for the girl rock. I'm going to give it a 7.
And that is 22, if I'm not wrong. So still no changes to our top 3. Stereo Terror is still in first with 30. An-Marlen is in second place with 27. And Sahlene is still in third with 23. Song number 11 is going to be Tomorrow Never Comes by Ant. Joe?
Yeah, so this is the sort of song I very, very rarely kind of sort of go for. The kind of sort of the big male ballad that just kind of sort of builds with a big vocal. It doesn't really kind of sort of tick my boxes normally, but I have to say that this is very much an exception. So I think it took me about 2 or 3 listens probably to kind of sort of really get this one in the feels. But actually, I think it's a stunning song that I think is performed at least in studio, absolutely beautifully. I mean, the vocal is just incredible. So it's kind of sort of takes me back to kind of sort of say something like Arlica, but but in this case, Ant with a male vocal ballad. I don't think the lyrics are necessarily, that kind of sort of groundbreaking. It's a very kind of sort of heartfelt song that I think is performed in that kind of sort of vibe. Really interesting to see how he pulls that vocal off live. So really looking forward to seeing that. And if he can reach those heights that we saw from someone like Alika before, this has the potential, I think, to do very, very well indeed. And for me, this is a real contender.
Yeah, I think I agree more or less with everything that you said. I think this is one that is definitely going to hinge on the live performance in terms of how well it's going to do, especially with those high notes. They performed really well in the studio version. I do enjoy listening to this one, but it's not one that I find myself revisiting a lot. I'm not really sure why. It just something that hasn't stuck about it. I don't know. I think the production is really good. I do enjoy listening to it, but for some reason it just hasn't stuck for me. But I do think it's a good quality song, and I'm glad it's here. And I think we do always need good ballads like these, but yeah, it's just not in my top few.
Let's see how we score this one, Joe.
So this for me is a 9.
Sophie?
6.
6 for me as well. David?
A 7.
And we have Ant now in second place. Let's continue with Elysa and her song The Last to Know. David?
Yeah, so what I was saying before about Johanna Release being a really kind of modern sounding ballad that you could hear and it wouldn't necessarily be out of place in 2025. This is the opposite for me, I'm afraid. I really liked Elisa's last couple of entries, and Super Love from 10 years ago or so, one of my favorite Eesti Laul songs of all time. It's kind of the law of diminishing returns with all of her entries, I hate to say, because she's clearly very talented. She's absolutely stunning. I hear that she's had another house fire a couple of weeks ago, and obviously that's awful. And yeah, I don't know how that keeps happening, but it's awful. But the song, it just sounds dated. It sounds very Danish. Like I could hear it in Dansk Melody Grand Prix. And the Danes would probably eat it up, right? So actually, if it does end up doing all right, then I don't think this is going to do badly at Eurovision. But yeah, it just doesn't really pull me in, sadly.
Contrary to David, I actually do enjoy that she came back with something completely different to her previous entries, because I do enjoy this one a lot more. And in her previous try, she always came up with like a full-on choreography, except maybe for Super Love, which was ages ago. So I'll definitely be looking forward to seeing like what she does on stage with this song, even though this time I feel that like less might be more. And I can see this song being played in the radios literally anywhere. Would it be my first choice of listen? Probably not, but it's not at all bad. I quite enjoyed it in this particular selection. For me, it was one of the better ones. David, out of 10.
I would give Elise a 6. Still like it.
Okay. Joe?
Yeah, it's perfectly okay. It's a 5 from me.
Sophie?
I do like this, but it has grown off me a little bit, so I'll give it a 7.
I'll give it a 7 as well. And we're getting to one of the top favorites. That's Tommy Cash with Espresso Macchiato. Sophie, what did you think about this one?
Well, I mean, this has to be probably the most anticipated song of the season so far, doesn't it? I mean, when it was revealed that Tommy Cash was participating in Eesti Laul, people are already saying he's going to win Eurovision. And I noticed that it's been taken down now, but he actually titled the video on YouTube Eurovision 2025 winner. Love the confidence. I've sort of discovered Tommy Cash when he collaborated with Karita on It's Crazy It's Party, and the energy that he brought to that song. I think we all sort of knew what to expect, and I feel like this absolutely delivered. it's obviously been produced by the producer of Cha Cha Cha, and I believe he's produced a song in the Finnish section as well, which I'm really looking forward to. It's probably going to be my cup of tea. But I think it perfectly blends like Eurovision silliness with like, but it's also really clever and witty, and it's sort of like a parody of itself in a way in the lyrics, and I just think it's really cleverly done, and the music video is hysterical. And I think if he literally just sat on the Eesti Laul stage drinking a coffee, it would just be absolutely iconic. And I love listening to this. I'm gutted because we missed it at Eurofest as well. It came on before we arrived, but this is like the sort of song that I'm really looking forward to hearing in the Euro Club if it does get picked, which I think it probably will because it does have that sort of arena energy. And yeah, I love this. It's great.
I'm just going to start by saying that I never ever understood why each of the Baltic countries feel like they should pay homage to Italy every couple of years and have a song in Italian in their national selection or send it to Eurovision. Espresso Macchiato, like there's some really, really clever comical value to this that I really appreciate. But at the same time, there is something else that just doesn't resonate fully with me. And I'm a bit conflicted, like whether I really like this or whether I find it a little bit dull and annoying. And I'm not, I do think that this might actually be the right choice for Estonia, because you cannot deny that the song is super catchy, that people will remember it. And in a televoting semi, this would be a guaranteed qualifier for the final. But even though it's cleverly done, I do have some, I don't know, some, let's say, personal issues with it. I just don't know whether I like it so much or not. Out of 10, Sophie.
8.
I'll
go for a 6. David?
I'll give it an 8 because this lyric is the best lyric so far in Eurovision 2025. Life is like spaghetti, hard until you make it.
Agreed.
Deserves a 10.
Yeah.
Joe?
For me, this is much more on the cringe side than the fun side, unfortunately. I think this is a song that's going to be divisive. And for me, it's a 3.
Wow. Well, Tommy Cash scored 25, same as Elysa then. 3 more to go. Tuuli Rand is next with REM. David?
Yes, so I wasn't sure what to expect. It probably wasn't this song, to be honest, when I saw that she was back at Eesti Laul. The song's pleasant. I don't think it sets my heart on fire by any stretch. It's a nice, easy listening kind of ballad. Some very, very high notes in the song, and a lot of kind of synth backing as well. And it's almost like she has a vocoder, right, to amplify the vocal. Looking forward to seeing whether she can pull that off live. To be honest, I think if she can, then it could actually be an incredible performance. But largely the song doesn't speak to me. Sadly, it's just kind of there. Again, not one that will make my playlist, but one that I'm happy to listen to if it's on or whilst it's being performed on the stage. So, yeah, if she comes back again, I would hope that she would return to what's more like what she did last time. But yeah, it's a good entry for her.
Put that into points.
Just under the middle. I'll give it a 4.
Joe?
So Uksu was one of my favorite national final songs of all time, but this one has left me really disappointed, unfortunately, from Tuuli. So it's a 2, unfortunately.
Sophie?
6.
I'm with David on this one, actually. I'm going to give it a 4.
I didn't expect to like that the most. There you go.
The fact that I like it as much as David, or?
Well, that's it. I thought this was going to be one for David for sure.
Sadly.
Well, I was so excited when her name was in the original list, but the song just didn't deliver for me, unfortunately. I really wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, we have 2 to go. Next one is Andrei Zevakin featuring Karita with Maita Sind. I was personally vibing with this song literally as soon as it started because I love its intensity, especially in the chorus. I was never a fan of any of Andrei's previous Eesti Laul entries, and I don't remember most of them. I just know that he was in it. So due to that, I'm very positively surprised here, and I think this is his best Eesti Laul entry by far. And this is clearly not going to be the type of song that, like, you can easily sing along to. However, like, if this came on in any sort of party, I'd probably jump and shout to it. And this song has actually been put on my Spotify playlist, so I'm happily listening to this one. Should this win and should this go to Eurovision, I genuinely have no idea how this would do, but I wouldn't mind discovering that.
Yeah, well, bookmark this because for once I'm going to say I agree with Ervin.
Oh, wow.
Which I don't think has ever happened. But yeah, I mean, this is a song that is just so instant. And again, it's one when I was listening to the songs when they first came out on very first listen, almost within the first kind of sort of 10 seconds, I was really kind of sort of vibing with it. It's got that power, it's got that energy. I just think it's a fantastic, and again, it's another song that's very Estonian. You know, you could listen to this and think, oh, that's an Eesti Laul song. Let's hope that it's going to live up to its billing with a live performance, because again, this could really be brought to life on stage. And you know, if they're able to kind of sort of bring that energy, this for me is one of the standouts.
Well, I kick this voting off with a 9. David?
I agree with Evan and Joe, which doesn't happen very often
Wow.
either. I'm going to give this a 9.
I think we have a Eurovision winner here then.
Wow.
Joe?
Yep, let's go with a 9.
Sophie?
Oh dear. No, I do like this. I do like this. And I do enjoy listening to it, but I was a little bit surprised to see it as one of the top favorites. So yeah, I don't know. I've given it a 6.
Party pooper.
Sorry.
Well, with 33 points, we have a new leader then. Stereotype are now in second, and if I'm not wrong, Ant is in third place. And we only have one song left, so let's see if anything changes here. It's Janek with Frozen. David?
Yeah, I was really delighted to see him back. I was a big fan of his song, is it Made of Glass or something similar to that a couple of years
House of Glass.
ago? House of Glass. Yeah, I was actually at that EC Now as well live, and he was one of the reasons that I wanted to go. Um, really enjoy the kind of theatricality in his voice, and it's kind of that entry was very musical theatre ballad almost, and this is kind of a nice step in the right direction, I think, from an artistry perspective. It sounds modern. Well, it's the whole 80s kind of synth vibe that's everywhere at the moment, and just or every artist in the world has a song that sounds like it's from the 80s. It sounds very current. It sounds modern. Looking forward to seeing how he can perform it. Right, we saw him before. He was quite a dynamic ballad performer, so it'll be interesting to see how dynamic he can be when it's a bit more of an up-tempo pop song. I'm sad that it feels like it just maybe gets stuck in fourth gear just a little bit. You're trying to get it to fifth gear for the build at the end, and it just doesn't quite make it the way that I'd like it to personally. But all in all, it's a good package. And yeah, if you're watching this video, then give me a call, Mr. Janek.
Yeah, and I don't quite know what is going on today, but I'm agreeing with David as well.
Wow.
This is really fantastic, and you know, I've similarly loved Janek from when he first entered Eesti Laul, and I think this is the best of his 3 songs that he's submitted. Vocally, we know that he can bring that live. You know, he did that really well with House of Glass, with Morland writing that one. I'm not sure if he's one of the writers of this as well, but it's such a fantastic, like David said, a move in the right direction in terms of something that is much kind of sort of poppier, but still has all of those kind of sort of strengths that we know that Janek has. For me, it does deliver. I think it does get to that 5th gear. It's really sing-alongable. If I could sing at any kind of you know, quality, but I try anyway when I'm in the shower. I'm sure the cat doesn't mind. Yeah. Just a really, really good song. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing this on the stage in Eesti Laul.
Out of 10, David?
I would. Oh, I'm so sorry, Evan. I'm going to give this a 7.
Joe?
This is my 10. This is my favorite in the selection.
Oh, wow. Sophie?
Yeah, I love this. I think Morland is one of the writers, and I think that's why it's so good. So I've given it an 8.
You guys are going to hate me, but I didn't see anything special in this one. I gave this one a 5. So that brings Janek to 30 points, and he is tied for second place together with Stereo Terror. And the favorite of the four of us combined is Andrei Zevakin featuring Karita with Maita. Guys, who are you most looking forward to seeing in Eesti Laul? Like, which is the one performance that you're definitely gonna be on the lookout for?
So for me, it's Janek. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's quite a few, right? I'm looking forward to performances of, but I think Tommy Cash. That's going to be an exciting moment when he takes to the stage. So looking forward to that with anticipation.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like gonna be the moment of the year if it's all works out as it's supposed to be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
My eyes are still gonna be more connected to Stereo Terror. I really look forward to seeing like what they're gonna do on stage and like how the whole thing is gonna look like. But yeah. Let us know in the comment section down below whether you agree, whether you disagree with any of our thoughts and opinions, and also let us know who your personal favorites are, as well as which are the acts that you're most looking forward to seeing in Eesti Laul. Also, subscribe to our channel to be completely up to date with all of our upcoming videos. There's going to be a whole bunch of interviews with national final artists. There's going to be more of these review videos and some other videos as well in the run-up to this year's Eurovision. Thank you all. Thank you, Sophie, Joe, and David for joining me, and we're going to see all of you very soon with our next videos. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Ciao.